We Got This Africa is an April Communications production, proudly brought to you by Fritol. Fritol, you deserve a life of goodness.
Talk to any pregnant woman and they'll probably tell you they can't wait for the baby to come out. But I assure you, they don't mean it literally. Most moms, if not all moms, would want to carry their babies to term because having your baby preterm can be one of the most difficult things you'd have to deal with as a new mom. Today, I'm going to be talking to Ifia and Nana, and together we'll share our experiences on having preterm babies. This is We Got This Africa, and my name is Na Shoko.
We got this. Can you feel oban your face? Can you feel oban your face? We got this. Can you feel oban your face?
You're welcome back. You're watching We Got This Africa, and today's episode is on preemie moms. I'm joined by Nana and Ifia. They have both had preemie babies, and for those of you who don't know what preemie babies are, they are premature babies. So they come before you're due to have them, or before 37 weeks. And usually these babies would need a little help breathing. They might have to be in the NICU, that's the neonatal intensive care unit. They might need a little help getting warm and a little help feeding. I can tell you from experience that it's not fun. It's scary, can be very traumatizing, difficult, and sometimes quite hopeless. A lot of scary things happen in the NICU, and today we're happy to share on this show. Nana, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Are you? Ifia, you're welcome.
Thank you.
First of all, how old are our babies?
So my twins are 6 years.
Twins! 6
years, yeah.
So this is 6 years ago?
Yeah, 6 years.
All right, and you?
My preemie is just one. She turned one last month.
Oh, happy birthday. Belated. Did you have a party?
A little one because we are still not, when you've had a preemie and you've gone through all of it, we try to keep it like small in our space. We are still trying to protect her because, she gave us a shock some time ago. We don't want another shock. So she's still not in school. She's still home. We kept it small, just family and friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. She still has some struggles.
Well, we do NICU clinic once every 6 months now. They just want to have a routine. After her 6 months, they just said come every 6 months. So we just go to check her weight, if she's meeting her milestones, just routine. But she's well. She's well. Okay. But we've been told to try as much as possible to avoid an infection. So we are trying to keep her out of public places most of the time. Yeah.
At which month or after how many weeks did your baby come?
34 weeks. Yes.
That's small.
34. That's small. But in the NICU, she wasn't too... Her birth weight was actually fine. She was 2.5. Some full-term babies are even 2.5. So she wasn't so tiny in the NICU. But in the NICU, it's not about sizes. You can have a baby who's very little leaving and you will be like big or a full term and you'll be lying there. So she was okay. She didn't spend so much time in the NICU. She spent just 5 days. But 5 days in the NICU is not just because every minute in the NICU, one
bad
time,
things happen.
Yeah. Even if it's not you, what you'd see happening around you, what others are going through, it doesn't really help you. And you're a new mom, you are now recuperating, you are now adjusting, and then you are in a place where everybody is sad. But God is good.
Yeah, God is good.
God is good.
I remember being in the NICU. So in the NICU where I was, the babies are in, they are machines, and all of them are tagged.
Yeah.
So after some time, you go home, and then you come back. And so I knew the babies on my left and on my right. And every time I came back, there was a new name. I mean, you don't recognize the babies because of all the machines, but then the name tags kept changing. So I'd ask, but where is baby Elijah? Oh, where's baby? And every time I came, it was like every day, there was a new baby next to me, and the other baby did not make it.
That's one thing about NICU.
That was the scariest thing for me. So every time when I was approaching where our incubator was, I just prayed that our name would still be there, because the babies on my left, they just kept the names kept changing.
Wow.
And so it was very scary. After how many weeks did your babies come?
32.
Did you know they were coming at 32? Because I know for twin pregnancies, usually you schedule your delivery ahead of 40 weeks.
No, so what happened was on my 6th month, heading to the 7th month, I went for my regular antenatal, and then my fundal height had, doubled or tripled, and I was asked to go for an emergency scan. On the day of the scan, that was when I got to know that I was having twins. So
You didn't know you were having twins?
I didn't know. I knew I was having a girl.
The previous scans did not show?
It was just a girl.
Okay.
So I got to know of it, and then I was asked to plan. It was to see a specialist and plan for a CS. Normally,
Twin pregnancies, yeah.
You are being advised to go for a CS. Maybe one is coming with the leg, the other one is coming with the head. So for your safety and that of the babies, I was supposed to go for a CS. Unfortunately or fortunately, they came before we even met the doctors. And when I saw them,
how did they come? Did you go into labor?
I didn't. I don't think I went. For my experience, I just woke up one dawn, Saturday, and then I just felt water coming down. And I was rushed to the hospital.
Were you in pain?
As at now, I can't remember I was in pain. I can't remember. There was no pain because I realized, I remember I woke up at dawn, and then I went back to sleep. At 4 a.m., I woke up to prepare to go to work, only for me to find out water coming down. So I don't remember any pain. But then the funny thing that happened was when I got to the hospital, I was told I was 7 centimeters dilated.
That means that you're ready to give birth?
Yes, I was ready.
Wow.
7 is big.
Yeah. Almost there.
Yeah.
Almost there, yes.
So it was a good thing you were able to go to the hospital.
Yes.
Or you could have slept through it. You could have slept through the water passing.
No, I was preparing to go to work. I used to work at a call center.
Okay.
So I was supposed to just rush to get to work before 6.
Okay.
So it was that period I realized this. I remember I called my team lead, and the team lead said, but I saw you yesterday running here and there, talking to customers here and there. So what had happened? Are you sure you have given birth, or you just want an excuse not to come to work? I said, oh, come on.
She said, have you sure you've given birth?
Yes, because it was, even the whole center, everyone was shocked.
Okay.
Yes, and then the babies came out.
Did you have them by CS?
No, it didn't happen.
And they both came with their heads?
Everything.
Wow. Wow. That's like, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't. They call them miracle babies. So when they came, and then I looked at them, I asked for their weight. I was told 1.1 kg and 1.3 kg.
That's small.
So even the two together, 2.3 kg.
That's less than the size of one baby.
And they were very tiny. Their skin.
How tiny, like?
Not to sound offensive, like mice.
Mice?
They're very tiny. You could see through their veins. You could see the vein. Their eyes were very big. The head very big. Their fingers very, very small. They look very tender and very weak. So even lifting them up, sometimes you become very scared. You might think you're breaking a bone or something. So I personally, after the nurses helped me a lot, and when I go home, my mom took over. I told my mom I can't handle it.
When did you take them home?
After 7 days rather. After 7 days.
7 days?
Yes, you were asked to go home. No incubator. You just...
when you said 7, I thought you were going to say 7 weeks.
No, 7 days. I remember so well.
How are you supposed to take care of preemie babies?
The pediatrician we had a very long conversation, and she explained to me that twin girls or girls who are preterm survive more than that of boys because they are already formed. They just need their body fat or their body to just be plumpy and nice. But for the boys, the period between the ball rolling into the scrotum is a time that the pain they go through, they can't withstand it. So that period, they end up going up. But for girls, there's a high percentage of survival. And I said, okay, so what do we do now? She said, you need to wrap them and wrap them and wrap them. And they are very tiny. So you bought some dresses for them, welcome. And then when you put it on them, they look like
they're hanging in
their dress. So we have to either alterate the dress or go. Sometimes I would say thank you to the nurses at Lighthouse. Some of them went as far as getting it tiny baby dresses, so that we could just put them in, then we wrap them, clean towel to wrap them. It was like that, and you have to keep feeding them back to back.
How are you feeding them?
So breast milk was not enough, so I have to go and get formula, a particular type of formula.
Yeah, the fortified one.
Yes, and it's very expensive.
Yeah, it is.
And it's not easy to come by here in Ghana,
Yes.
so we would have to roam from shop to shop, and it was very expensive. So if you buy it within 3 days, they are twins. So within 3 days, it's done. You have to go and get another one. It was constant back to back, at least a week, 2 or 3 would go. And it was stressful too, because in the night they are crying. Twins, one is crying and the other one is sleeping. Immediately you put the sleeping one down, and then you pick the crying one. The other one to wake up. So 2 of them will be on you. It was stressful now. It was stressful, but with God, like she said, we've moved.
How were you feeding them at that size? Were they able to get to breastfeed by themselves?
No. So we have to get, sometimes they told me to get a clean cup and a little tiny spoon, so that we can just put it in the mouth. And even how many will go? Sometimes we advise to use syringe, clean syringe. Then we'll just put a formula in it, and then because of the little tip under, we push it into their mouth. So it was like that consistently till like they grew a bit before they could suck. Then we continued from there.
So you saw them grow?
I saw them.
Do you have pictures of when they were born?
I used to. I can't find the pictures, but I'll look for them. I had pictures of one in Kolebu. We went to one of the twin was referred to Kolebu because we had abdominal distension, and I have pictures of that.
What is abdominal distension?
So the stomach protruded, and already you could see the vein, and when your tummy has already protruded, you see more vein as if it's swollen. Then we went to Kolebu. We went to ER. We were there for 2 days, and then we were referred to our various ward. And we were also there for maximum of 10 days. But that 10 days, I told the doctors I want to go home. Why? I told the doctor because even with the ER, I got there on Saturday. I was told I will be attended to on Monday. On Monday, the doctors came around. Those who were they've been given their various wards had already gone, and I'm still here. I asked, and the only thing the nurses told me was, "Oh, madam, you feel you're sure we were bored so." For real, because the ER, I'm seeing things. You're seeing so many things in the ER. Very scary things. Yeah. I remember a 11-year-old was just behind me. Then around 12 a.m., they picked her up. What was the issue? Multiple convulsions, she said. I saw a little baby die beside my baby's cot. So I was pissed off. Then I remember the scene. I was very pissed off till a doctor came and said, "Oh, madam, we will attend to you. By tomorrow, we'll give you a ward." So on Tuesday, I was given a ward. And when I entered the ward too, I saw a lot of babies with different conditions. I saw hydrocephalus. I saw one who had a parasitic twin, 2 hair, just small hair, and we were about to go for surgery. I saw so many things, and I was questioning them. How can my twin in this condition be in the same ward with different conditions? And when you enter, that's the first thing that you see. I'm seeing this baby here, and I'm seeing my baby here. It was bad. And every time I ask questions because I was not comfortable. Yeah. I will ask questions, and then the doctors will be like, "Madam, at some day will be sad, but this is our reality." So it was bad. It was bad. And when I went to the ward too, we were advised to have washouts. I did the first one. The second washout.
What's a washout?
We bought some medication. It's in like a pint of water, and then they take the baby to a room, more or less like they'll put through the inner area, and then clean. If there's any substance that's making the stomach big, it will come out. We did the first one. Unfortunately, the second one that they were doing. Madam, the doctor will do it on Wednesdays. We attend to only critical issues. They were doing back and forth. I just went straight to one of the doctors and said, I've exhausted my time here. I want to go home because even the labs you requested for, you've not asked me for it. I've gone to do the labs. I'm here. You've not even asked me for the labs, but you keep opening my folders. So I want to go home. She looked at me and said, "Oh, madam, what do you want?" I said, "I want to go home."
And they let you go?
Yes, I went.
Weren't you scared that you were further complicated?
No, I was as if I built some
resistance.
Exactly, I was, because even in ER, I don't know if it still happens in Kolebu, between 7 and 9, you leave your babies there.
That's at the baby's ward.
Yeah. You clean the baby or bath the baby and then put the baby in the cot. You leave either your breast milk or your formula beside the cot and you leave.
And go where?
And they'll tell you to go downstairs, right?
Yeah.
They said that they'll come around to check. So she experienced it.
So what? I don't understand. You are supposed to leave your baby and...
Okay, so in NICU, as for NICU, parents are not allowed. So you come at 9 a.m., you come at 12, you come at 3. When you go to the baby's ward, you sit by your child. So you sit in a plastic chair, and then your child 24 hours a day. So you are sitting like throughout. But in the mornings, between 7 and 9, you go out, they say they are coming to do cleaning or some ward round. So you leave the baby in the cot and you pray and hope that you come back and the baby is not crying, and you go and do what you have to do. You come back at 9. Sometimes by the time you come back at 9, they are still doing some cleaning or something, so you wait a bit. But most of the time by 9, they are ready, and then you come and resume your security job, sitting by your child in a plastic chair.
With swollen feet.
I picked. I had a camping chair. I picked to Kolebu, and it was like luxury because it looked like, oh, what's wrong when you? But I was tired, like, you know.
I actually remember when I was pregnant with my second, my first was sick. So I was about 4 or 5 months pregnant, feeling so pregnant. My first was sick. I took him to one of the government hospitals, and yes, I sat in a plastic chair with my pregnancy for more than 48 hours.
Yeah.
For 2 days, I was just there in the plastic chair, and my child was in his cot. And when I got tired, I walked around, and there were times I just lay down on the floor in the hospital.
Yes.
Yeah,
on the floor.
People do it.
I simply couldn't.
People do. And when you see someone do, you think, oh, would you lie on hospital floor?
Yeah.
When it gets there and you have no option.
Would. And I remember thinking, I could go to any private hospital, but you know when your child is sick,
it's not about your comfort anymore.
It's not about comfort anymore. But then it's not okay.
It's not. No, it's not. I knew what happened at the baby's ward. So when my daughter had an infection at 6 weeks, I didn't really want to go back to the government hospital. So we went to a private hospital nearby. The doctor assessed her, checked her chest. She said no, the infection was literally blocking her lungs. So the better we go to a place where they have specialists. And then I said, he asked me, where did I deliver? I said, Kolebu. He said, okay, perfect. Please go back there. And by then I was around community 22. So yes, because I delivered, I thought everything was okay and so fine. So we rushed to Kolebu, and then we started a security job. You sit down, watch your baby, and you know it's stressful. You delivered. I was just 6 weeks. I delivered just 6 weeks then, and you are not so fit. You are still, your CS is still, wound is still healing. Yeah. You need to be dressing it yourself. My legs were still even swollen, and then but you have to sit by your baby, and it's so discomforting. Yeah, but is there any option?
So you went back to Kolebu?
We went back to, it was non-negotiable. We had to go back. And I'll say it's difficult, but for me it's one of the best things that happened to me. Well, I'll talk for myself, because I'd been to Kolebu 3 years earlier with my first son, who was a full-term, and I'd say that if I hadn't delivered at a facility that had a full-fledged NICU that worked 24 hours, I wouldn't have had that boy.
Your first?
My first. Even though he was full-time, but when he came, he had better asphyxia. So when he came, he wasn't breathing. He was just lying down, almost like a stillbirth. You know, it was scary. I delivered around 1 a.m. at dawn after many hours of pain, like pain. And now baby comes and you're expecting that, like we all read, or you're expecting, that was my first child. So put the baby here, you know, you born, so, you know, fairy tale, that's what you're expecting. Baby comes out and they're like, is he there? They show him to you. Mommy, check it. Bema, say. Like, so immediately I had to pick some key features on him. Like, look at his fingernails, his hair. Before I know, they are off to NICU. So even though Kolebu was difficult for me, I always say that I appreciate the care they gave to my first son, because I've seen people who delivered in places without NICUs with birth asphyxia, is cerebral palsy straight or something else. But then this boy, even though it was a difficult 17 days on admission, very difficult, because by the third day, he still wasn't breathing. He still wasn't responding to treatment.
17 days?
17 days, yes.
Full-term baby?
Full-term baby, 17 days.
So, at which point did he start responding?
I think on the 6th day.
So for 5 days?
For 5 days, they'll do many labs. As for the labs, you have no choice. They'll do many labs to check. At a point, they'll say his, what do they call that? Salt or something is going up. They need to adjust. You do a test. Like, and they were still drawing blood.
And this was your first child?
This was, you can imagine.
How did you deal with that?
I'll say it's God and then my family, like my close family, because, I couldn't open up to anybody. And my husband and I were both shocked. I had never heard of NICU. I'd never seen anything like that. And those in my close circles hadn't experienced it. But we couldn't talk about it. We would pray. I would cry from midnight till 9 a.m. That's how bad it was. I remember on the 3rd day, I walked into the OPD, like, without underwear. I was so confused. I went there and the boys chat, like, they had every minute, there's a seizure. And when you read, we like to read and find out. Seizures meant something wasn't right. It meant the brain was still not responding. So, what did I do wrong? I had attended my antenatal classes religiously, taking all my drugs, I didn't miss anything. And I wasn't sick, I was well. My BPs were not terrible. So at what point did this happen? And the doctor said, well, they can't explain. But I thank God that despite the many challenges, it was tough, because even on the day we were discharged, I was asleep. I had given up. I was like, okay, you let them do whatever they want to do. When they are ready, we'll go home. So usually when I see him in the morning, I'll go back to the car and sit in the car till the next 3 hours. On the day we were discharged, I'm sitting down in the car. I think it was even past the visiting time, about 30 or 45 minutes. I wake up and I see calls, like 20 missed calls. So in my head, I said, what is happening? I didn't even check the time, but if your baby is in ICU and then you see 20 missed calls, the kind of emotions it triggers. So I put the phone off and I walk. That was the longest walk from the car park to the 3rd floor. I walked in and said, Mommy, I'm like, me fan coin. They said, you are ready to go home. Now, that moment, you are ready to go home. And here he is. He was still, he's fair. He's very fair. So from all the injections and, babies love affection, but he was red. You could see he wasn't a happy baby. We always say that this boy wasn't happy with the treatment he had in NICU. And we took pictures of his first day at home, like this, looking at our faces. It was when we went home and, the grandmothers will come in. They'll come and do their action. Like when we went home, even though we were still scared, because this is a boy who is coming out of ICU.
A lot of trauma as a baby.
Good. So, but when my mom came, bathed him, changed him, and then you couldn't accept clothes from outside because to prevent infections.
Yeah.
So they used their own diaper, they used their own clothes and everything. But when we came home, used his own clothes, bathed him. I think he started feeling, and he was with me throughout. In the NICU, you are in your cot. When the nurse feeds you, nurse baby, nurse feeds you, puts you down. The first weeks was tough, but we still have people thinking, like people with all sorts of mentalities about what happens to us, because there were silly comments. And I don't know, but people were ready to announce my birth even before me. I was in a school group page. Someone had seen my husband in Kolebu earlier. My husband said, oh yes, we delivered, but he didn't give the person details. The next minute is in the school page, Ifya has delivered, and people, my year group, people know me, like, I've delivered, and so what? Shouldn't I tell my story? And people are calling, oh, Ifya, and you have not sent us shots of baby. If you know what I've been through, you're waiting for pictures of baby. Even me, I didn't have pictures because Kolebu didn't allow, they still don't allow pictures in NICU, because people take pictures and then they take other people's babies and then they share. So initially we tried to smuggle some of the pictures, like smuggle a camera in them, but they don't allow it. And when you come home, people say, "Oh, you say Okowoye and when you say so many stories." There's still so many myths, even for preterm birth. Like people still believe when you have these issues, you've been cursed. Is a taboo. There's something. Yes, people still think about it.
Cursed.
Yeah. You'd be surprised at what people will say about babies who are born and need like attention, health, medical attention. But
let's just say we thank God.
That's it.
We just thank God.
That's it.
That our babies came home, because having a baby having a preterm baby or having a child in the NICU doesn't always end with you coming home with baby. You're watching We Got This Africa. This is our episode with preemie moms who have had their babies before they were due. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We got this.
You're watching We Got This Africa. This is our episode with preemie moms, and listening to them talk and share just brings back memories of very difficult times being in the NICU. You know, I knew I was going to have my baby preterm because I was told I had placenta accreta. That meant that my placenta and my uterus were fused together or going into each other, and so it'll be difficult to, first of all, deliver the baby. It would have to be a C-section, and secondly, it was not advisable to wait until the baby has grown or the baby reaches the full term, because you could bleed out. I mean, it got more complicated as the baby got older or the pregnancy progressed. So I knew I would have my baby preterm. So at about 25 weeks, they started injecting me with steroids. So my arms, well, they're all gone now. I used to look like a drug addict. I had so many needle marks on my arms, not just from the steroids, but also from. So I was in the hospital for the longest time. I think I repressed it so much that sometimes I don't even remember how long I was in the hospital for anymore. I don't remember, but I was in the hospital for a long time. So I had a lot of IV needles, which they changed. Is it every 2 or 3 days, so that there's no blood clot or it doesn't block or something? I don't remember. So I had some here, I had 2 here, and I had 1 here, and then sometimes I had 3 here and I had 2 here, and so I had a lot of needle marks. So I was getting all my steroids all the time. About 3 different times at various stages, I was rushed through they prepared me for delivery at, I think, 27 weeks, and then the nurses would come to me, okay, so for 27 weeks, these are your chances. The baby's chances of survival are just like 20% at this point. But if you're able to wait, you're able to keep the baby inside you till tomorrow, it will come to maybe 28 or 30%. And like they give you the facts that, okay, you're about to have the baby, but he could die. These are the chances.
Yeah.
You're about to have the baby, but he could die. And thankfully, I got a lot of psychological or counseling help. So I knew what could happen. And then somehow the baby is able to stay in, because I was bleeding a lot. And when you're bleeding so much, they feel like, okay, we need to take the baby out. And then somehow, after the steroids and a lot of procedures, baby stays in. So we wait. Next time, okay, let's go. So baby's you're bleeding too much, you're bleeding out, baby might come. Steroids in, okay. Baby is able to stay. Okay, so we wait. We're able to go to about 31 weeks, going into 32 weeks. And finally he came, and we had to go to NICU. I mean, I knew he was going to come. And with my placenta accreta, my surgery was the longest surgery. I was on the table for so long. I was so certain I was going to die. In fact, I prayed to God, to keep my soul, scared for my child, because I knew it was over. I knew this was it, because I was so tired. I'd been on the table for so long. Anesthesia, what do you call it? I got my epidural, I got my spinal. I could still feel pain. You know when they put in the spinal, it's supposed to numb you. I could still feel pain. I got my first spinal. They came, put me with needles. You feel it? Yes. You shouldn't feel it. But can you feel it? Okay, let's wait for some time. Waiting for some, I could still feel it. This went on for a while. I think I got about 7, maybe 8. I don't remember anymore. But a lot of times. I got a lot of. If you come and sit at the edge of the bed, bend over, put a needle in your back, put a needle in your spine, blow the thing in, you feel it. Okay, they're done. Put me down, wait to go numb, not going numb. Come back to the end of the bed, bend over, put a needle in. This happened for a while. I mean, it was so long. Eventually, they had to put me under because it wasn't working. So they had to put me under totally. And before I even went under, I passed out. Like in the middle, I felt myself. I knew it was happening. I was passing out, and I was just praying that okay, I'm going to die. So this is happening. So just God keep my soul, my child. That's what I just kept praying and praying and praying. And I could hear the nurses say, stay with us. It hit me, stay with us. And there were so many doctors in the room, like so many different doctors and nurses, like stay with us. I could hear them shouting, slapping me. Eventually, I came to it. And then they said, okay, now we have to put you under. Do you agree? Do you consent to it? Do I consent to it? At this time. So I said, what would you do? I remember asking my doctor, the one I could recognize, like, what would you do? What do you advise? And she said, I think you should do it. You should go under. I said, okay. So I woke up many hours later, very certain I was dead. Now it's funny when I say it. I woke up many hours later, my husband was standing beside me. When all this was happening, by the way, they had put him out of the room because they said he couldn't be there.
Yeah.
And I could see them taking him away. And I think that's what really said in my mind, okay, I'm about to die. Because when they taking him away, they literally took him away. Because he was robed in the whole green gown with a mask and everything ready for delivery. But they had to get him out of there. So I was like, okay, so this is happening. I remember waking up and my husband was there. I was like, am I dead? He said, no. I said, are you sure? He said, yes, you are alive. I think you are. And then we just laughed it off. And then I calmed down. I waited for about 3 minutes and I asked, where's the baby? He said, he's in the NICU. I said, he's alive. He said, yes. And I remember they wheeled me into the NICU and I could see him as I was going. You know, the nurses had written his name on a card. They had done hearts and flowers and things on it.
That's so cool.
So I could see it.
Not here.
I could see his name. So I knew that was him. But the tubes, the wires on his butt, the tubes in his nose, and his chest rising and falling.
Yeah.
When I saw him, I remember the first thought, I looked at his fingers and his toes. Like I wanted to see if he had 10 fingers and 10 toes, if he was deformed, because I had bled so much during my pregnancy. So I had concerns, like, does he have proper brain function? Does he, can he see? Can he hear? Is he okay? His toes, his fingers were there, his eyes could open, even though he was so little. He was so little, but I could see that he had, he was okay.
It's amazing the kind of strength the little ones have.
Then they told me what they told you. Okay, so it's like, okay, so there's a hierarchy when it comes to NICU baby survival. Black baby girls have the highest survival rates. Black baby boys follow. Then white baby girls. Mm-hmm. And then white baby boys are usually the weakest. So you're up on the hierarchy because you have a black baby boy. So we think his chances of survival are good. So they started giving him fortified. So breast milk. So I could produce breast milk, but it was fortified.
Okay.
And then they were giving him another preemie whatever thing.
Formula.
They couldn't put him in clothes then. He was just in a diaper, and then he was in the incubator, and he was so small. Just looking at him, so small and red in the machine. But I was really calm because I felt like, okay, he's here now. I'm here too, so we'll be fine.
You are both here. Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. But one thing with yours is that from your bed you are wheeled into the place. Here, you enter the NICU, and mothers. The first time I went to NICU, I wondered, why are these people walking like they are bending, and because they don't allow wheelchairs, beds, anything. If you can't walk in there, your husband or your mom or somebody designated to see the baby. So when I went there the first time, I could see people almost crawling, like coming there to see their babies. I said, what is it? It was on my second time when I had CS, and I had to, the morning after CS is always a different story. I had to walk into the NICU, like, you can't even hold yourself up to even hold baby, but you have to be there. And that's one of the things we are advocating for parents of preterm babies in Ghana. It's difficult already, the situation, and yours like this, you have psychologists who have spoken to you. This one, you are your own psychologist. If you go and Google too can give you all the trash, all you need, and even more. Most you don't
Never
need.
Google your symptoms. Because you see scary.
So you walk in there, you are already not well because you are still healing from a major surgery. Your mind is also not set, and people are telling you, "Oh, mommy, chim no for no funcio nebeba. I don't want to mean chim." And me, my boobs are just big for nothing. I'm sorry. I could be pressing. I'll go back, use a breast pump. I tried the manual one. I was using an electronic one. They said, "Oh, maybe you tried the manual and see." I tried it. It didn't work. I tried.
You have muscle pull from all the pump.
I tried another type. Now it would be like it was tearing your nipple off. You pull it like this. I said, "Please, the breast milk. My tide is tired. Let's find an alternative for her." But with time, that's one thing we need here. They don't even show you how to take care of yourself. Like your mind, where your mind like is nothing. It's like your baby will get well and you go home. You the mother, you don't matter.
Yes, my doctor, the pediatrician, she counseled me and then said preterm babies are theirs. You have to keep them warm. And then I also want to say thank you to my mom. And my mom, I don't know whether she's a doctor, a prophetess or anything, but she's the one who has been my major support through it all. When I couldn't hold the baby to bath them, she did it through. For the first year, I'm sure she did 90%. And I did just 10 because they were very small. She was the one monitoring their growth, even though I remember there was a time I was so tired that you put one there, one is crying. You put one there, the other is crying. I told mommy, "Mapre." And my mom said, "Oh, I'll go and sleep, and then I'll take care of them for you." But one was on my lap, and then I fell asleep. The next few minutes, I realized the small one rather fell down. Immediately, the sleep, it was as if
Hi, Claire.
I started looking at her. I went to Google as usual. But the preterm baby falls down, what are the challenges? And then I was really scary things. It was scary. It will affect the brain. It will affect how she walks. So when they were growing, rather my focus went on to her, and I left the other one. And fortunately, she was the one who called first. She talked first. And up till now, she's the swift, like the most active among them. And she was the tiniest. She's called Cutie. She did everything. She was not even the one in the hospital. It was a big one who went to the hospital. She didn't enjoy certain things. She enjoyed more formula than the one in the hospital. But she's the strongest.
Wow.
She is the strong. She as we speak, she can just take a cup and draw you at 6. And draw a cup. She'll tell you, stand there, let me draw you. And then, but then I also realized that preterm babies are very intelligent. Very intelligent.
I agree.
I know a lot of preterm babies and preterm older people who are very preterm. They are very intelligent, very smart, and they grab things very easily.
I used to think it was a myth.
They start live like in war, so they can't help but be smart. Yes.
But seriously, your girls though, they are miracle babies. Because you were not in NICU.
I wasn't.
And you took those little children home.
Because I took them home.
Wow.
I took them home. But I think we need to sensitize a lot of mothers about preterm. And if there will be some products being made in Ghana, maybe the diapers and the formulas, because the diapers are very expensive.
And hard to get.
It got to a time we have to cut some of the regular diapers into 2, and then we fold it. And use some cloth or a thread to hang around them. Like, that's the reality. Because you have 3.6 kg, a lot of diapers there, and I'm looking for even 1 point. I'm not getting. They're getting around 2.5.
Because elsewhere you will get. I mean, there's a whole preemie section at the mall for preemies. for their diapers, their clothes. And I remember putting preemie clothes on my boy, and he was like,
Even in
preemie clothes, he was so small, so we had to double his clothes, So he wears a bunch of them, and then he looks a little full. And decent for.
Recently, I was talking to some vendors, and then I was asking them, why don't you sell preemie clothes? They were saying, people who don't buy them, they will say, oh, let's wear, let us use the big one.
We do it till the children get to JSS3, even with their shoes. It's part of Ghanaian parenting. You're watching We Got This Africa. This is our episode on We got this. Can you feel oban your face? Can you feel oban your face? We got this. Can you feel oban your face? You're welcome back. We're just about saying goodbye. I'm hanging out with Nana and Ifya, and we're sharing our experiences as preterm, as moms who had preterm babies, and we all agree that it's difficult, but it's not all gloom and doom. It's not. And I keep looking at you because your story is quite extraordinary. To have babies as tiny as yours, not to have put them in an incubator, you took them home and you were able to care for them, and they're 6 years old now. That tells me that, a lot of people, I have heard a lot of mothers run away because they had their babies early. They leave them at the hospital and run away because they feel like their chances of survival will probably be next to nothing, or they are afraid, or, this is Ghana. So sometimes we don't understand certain things, the way we ought to. Especially when it comes to motherhood. The myths are so many. So just listening to you, I guess it tells us that having your baby so early does not mean it's the end for them. It isn't. And I'm so curious. It sucks that we don't have so much time. But you did not do kangaroo care.
Only 30 minutes.
A day or
1 day. Just the same day they brought the thing. I tried it. I put one of the twin on my chest, and then I wrapped her. But then I realized she was uncomfortable. She was just like pulling herself out. She felt very uneasy. I told my mom, these children, they came on their own. So let us leave them. So I just packed it, put it in their suitcase, and it's still there.
You didn't ask your doctor?
No, I didn't ask anyone again.
You are very stubborn.
I didn't ask anyone. I just left it. I remember.
You were not afraid of what might happen. You just knew they'll be fine.
It was as if something just suddenly came to strengthen me. Sometimes most preterm mothers would want support either from their immediate family, maybe their husband or their parents. But that if one of the links seems missing, you have to strengthen yourself for your children. Else, if they don't get the strength from you, they might also end up going. So while my mom was strengthening me through her prayers and she was taking over, I have to also strengthen myself for them. And then also, I have to read a lot. I've never, if not for these things, I had never taken time to read about preterm before, how they behave, what you're supposed to do, and that. So maybe I might be stubborn, but like a good stubborn. I was very good when it comes to stubbornness, and I monitored them keenly. I monitored them very keenly, their movements and everything, and thankfully they are all right.
Yeah.
They are all right.
How did taking care of a preterm babies affect taking care of your older children?
Now, the second born was 4 months when I got pregnant.
4 months?
Yes. And so, I'm sure she didn't get much attention from me. Because I got pregnant, I delivered, and now the twins have come in, and she is now growing at the same time. And I remember those times. I used to buy diaper Maxi. I'll buy midi because I had another boy, the first one. So I'll buy Maxi, I'll buy midi, and I'll buy mini. It was that bad. It was so later on I have to find a way of taking the Maxi boy out, and then I'll concentrate on the midi. And then I told Iraja, please, we have a lot to take care of, even though she was young. we stopped here too, somehow. And then we managed with the twins because it was expensive.
Yeah.
Very expensive.
Even one child is expensive.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
It was expensive. And
were you still able to work? How did it all affect your life?
So my doctor wrote to the telco I was working with that they should give me 6 months maternity leave because my due date, the children came 2 months before. So they will add that 2 months to full term and they should give me 4 months as maternity leave. Fortunately, my team leads and then those who I worked with agreed. So they gave me 6 months. So the 6 months literally is when it comes to full term, your children are just 4 months. Because now the 2 months will add up to what they were not.
Yeah.
And then 4 months. And that car, it was a problem. Because they need more of you, more contact. And working at a call center, I was given, is it 6 or 5 hours? So before you return, it was just back and forth here and there. And I have to just let it go.
You stopped work?
My contract ended, and that was it. I didn't go back.
Have you worked since?
I'm doing my own thing now.
Okay.
Yes, I'm doing my own thing now. So now I have a lot of contact with my children. And over a period of time, so many things have happened, and I realized that I have to stand in for them, all of them now. So my life is all about waking up, taking very good care of them. They move, and whatever I have to do, so I will do it.
Whew.
Yeah.
How about you? Did taking care of a preterm baby affect your older child?
So I was lucky. The time I had my preterm baby was the lockdown time. So most people, I was even working from home before I had the baby, and then my husband too was working partially from home. So and family were available. So it was okay, but it's difficult because my child, he was just turning 3, and he's they still need attention, and he didn't understand why he can't carry baby and he can't be by the baby always. The only time we allowed him so close was when the baby had the viral infection. So at a point I even felt bad because it was like we were always pushing him, I was always telling him to go away because we feared that the preterm may get another infection, but it was fine. But with time, my in-laws had him for a while. I think about 3 weeks. My mom also had him for a while. So there were times that they were not together at the same moment until now that the preterm is. But it's difficult because you become so fixated on the new one and forgetting that this one too is still growing. Like he still needs so much attention. And like she was saying, you are still buying diaper, changing diaper, and trying to make him an adult quick. But it's with family support mainly, because without them I couldn't have done it. My in-laws, like they were ready especially because the little one I couldn't give him out, but the 3-year-old, they'll keep him, we'll call, they'll check in on us, and it's mainly support. But if you don't have the support, so when I came out from NICU, I said, okay, let me talk about NICU. Let me talk to people. People don't talk about it, but for today, I didn't know you'd been in NICU. It's like a personal story. So I'm doing a little project I call NICU Soldiers. I share my story. I started with mine because I have to tell you yours for you to feel confident to tell you mine. And you'll be amazed at the things people have been through. And the number of people in my circle who have been to NICU and their challenges, and some are unlucky, the babies die, the babies have long-term disabilities, but it happens. If we don't talk about it, who will? If you know about it and you go in there like at least side, and if I was there, she's fine, maybe I'll also be fine, or I can be fine. And I was there, she's fine, I can be fine. So what I do is I talk about it, we share our experiences, we share our challenges, and then once in a while doctors also come in to explain why you may have a preterm and what to do to take off a preterm.
NICU Soldiers?
NICU Soldiers, yes.
Thank you for that.
It's a blog. I did NICU Soldiers because someone sees me and said, but you are not a soldier. I said, in the NICU is a war ground, The doctors are fighting to save lives. The babies themselves are warriors every day. And just like any battleground, some die. But for those who have died, we have to advocate so we don't lose more people. Even those who don't die, some live with lifelong disabilities. Those of us without physical disability, we have mental disability. Sometimes, like, you'll be there and I remember something and I'm just crying. And it's supposed to be a happy moment. Like when it's your child's birthday, when you've been to NICU and it's your child's birthday. My child's first birthday, I was crying from 4 a.m. to like 7, non-stop. Even though she was with me, because I could remember when I had her, where she had to go, and there's some sort of mom guilt. What didn't I do right? Could I have eaten better? But it's not your fault. It just happens because it can happen to anybody. So we just need to continually talk about it. And then people also say, oh, you were cursed. People leave their babies in NICU. It happens every day. And sometimes the babies, if you see them, like they're even crawling in the court. They are gone and no one is coming for them. They are getting relapse and reinfections because they've been told the babies they have are reincarnated babies who are coming to curse them or who are coming to make their... So much misconceptions. But like you see, my children are well. My second child is well. She can speak Tree. She can speak English. She can do it. She can do anything any other baby can do. It's difficult from the beginning. I won't say it's not difficult. When you walk into NICU and there's some rhythm. Even when you go home, you'll be hearing it. It plays back. It's scary.
When you're walking in, you pray that the baby is still there.
Exactly. One day when in Kolebu, when baby is recovering, they move them from the very intensive care, they moved them to a recovery ward. The first day I went there, my baby wasn't in the cot in the intensive care. I sat on the floor. I said, "Me run away," and they were like, "Mami nyabuche." See, I was already on the floor. No one had told me anything, but since so many babies die around me that they said, "Oh, he's in C3." Then I walk in there, smiling, laughing. My face, I don't even know how to even describe it, but I was happy. I had been told he was there, and I was, but...
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Nana. Thank you for sharing. And I hope that by sharing, if you're watching us and you have had a preterm baby, you know that you're not alone. And this happens and can happen to anybody. Read up about it, watch the show, share it, check out NICU Soldiers, and let's keep the information going. My name is Nash Shakor, and this has been our episode on preterm babies on We Got This Africa. Thank you for watching.
We go stay okay, we go be alright, no. Inyami, go chichino. Inyami, bano fe. Inyami, go konjano. Kenya fe, obano fe. Inyami, go chichino. Inyami, bano fe. Inyami, go konjano. Kenya fe, obano fe. Kenya fe, obano fe. Kenya fe, obano fe. Kenya fe, obano fe. We got this. Kenya fe, obano fe.
We Got This Africa is an April Communications production, proudly brought to you by Fritol. Fritol, you deserve a life of goodness.